Hello, this is Egan, and welcome to EQB Cooking. A couple things I want to do before we get started. First thing I want to do is thank my buddy Mir. He's both my first subscriber, and also he's the one who made the icon down below. Appreciate you, man. Secondly, I'm going to be doing some basic kind of techniques in these videos. I just want to make sure this is approachable to both novices, intermediate, and so on and so forth. Later on, if the technique is used, I'm going to link a timestamp to the video where the technique is located so that they can go back and refer to it. So we are going to get started here with a cinnamon roll angel food cake. I made these little additions to it, to the recipe down below after I made a angel food cake for my brother's birthday. Turned out really well, so I thought I might spice up a little bit. Big sucker for cinnamon toast crunch and all that, so I figured I might mix it up. So first thing before we do anything, I'm going to show off all the ingredients that we're going to be using and also the tools. First off, we're going to do the tools. So first off, we have the fine sifter. We're going to be using this to sift the flour, the sugar, and whatnot. We got to make sure there's no clumps in it. The clumps can kind of mess with the cake somewhat. Then we're going to be having a hand mixer. Otherwise, if you don't have one, make sure you have a little standing mixer. Unfortunately, this one we're not going to be using for the actual cake. We'll be using it later for the cream cheese frosting we're going to be making for this. I tried this already before with the 12 egg yolks we're going to be using, and it almost spilled out. So we're going to be putting this guy aside for now. And besides that, this is kind of the biggest part. This is going to be our angel food cake pan. So with this, you got to make sure not to grease these, because part of it, the cake, when it's all done and cooked, you got to let it cool, and it being stuck to the side allows it to cool, because unlike normally, you have to cool it upside down like this. In my case, I have legs, so I don't have to worry about this, but if you have a cake pan that doesn't have legs, you can get a bottle like this. It's just some red cooking wine, or in the old days, most people just used a Worcestershire bottle. You just put it on like that, and it should stay up fine. I guess I just realized it's kind of too big of a bottle, but essentially you just want to keep it underneath it so it keeps it up and upside down. Other than that, you're just going to be using we're going to be using two different mixing bowls, or one depending if you're using a regular KitchenAid standing mixer, and then a rubber spatula, and then also you're going to be using a small grill. This is going to be put underneath your cake just in case if it falls. I doubt it will. I made this twice and it hasn't happened, but it's just more of a precaution. If it falls on a plate, it might crush, because the whole reason that we're doing it upside down is because if you don't do it that way, it kind of acts like a souffle and it will collapse in on itself. So that is all the tools we're going to be using. Okay, so we are going to be moving on to the ingredients. Before we continue, I actually forgot we're also going to be needing a blender, food processor, or something. I'm using my Ninja back there. Going to be doing in batches because it's kind of meant for smaller, but otherwise it will work fine. So we're going to be using a tablespoon and a half of vanilla extract. Right there, I'm going to be using a tablespoon and a half of cream of tartar. Then we're going to be having both granulated sugar. We're going to have 1 cup by itself, and then 3/4 of a cup by itself. This is going to be needed because we're going to be splitting it later. Then we're going to be having a cup and a half of cake flour, specifically cake flour. Do not substitute this at all. Then we're going to have a tablespoon and a half of cinnamon, and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. All this is going to be blended together, so I just put it all in one container. And then lastly, we're going to be needing a whole carton of eggs, because we're going to be needing 12 egg whites. We're not going to be using yolks. The yolks are going to be used. I'm going to save them for later, because the next 2 episodes are going to be using it. Rather not waste the yolks. Yolks can be used for many different things. Might be posting more later, but at the moment, my eggs are going to be turning into carbonara and grape ice cream. So look forward to that. Okay, so first off, before we get started, we're going to be getting the egg whites. I would recommend doing whole ones. I wouldn't recommend really using the instant ones. They don't really turn out well from what I've researched before I started making this. So we're going to start with this. I'm going to be using 3 different ways to do separated, hence the glove. After the first one, I will be taking this off. So sorry about the feedback. So first off, we are going to be using regular egg, and we're going to be doing this way. So we did this way because there we go. We got the perfect yolk right there. So with that, now all we have to do is gently scoop out that. And if we need to, we can just put this on our hand like that, and then we got it separated. Ideally, I probably should have done that on a regular plate, but there we go. We got one full yolk. I'm gonna put that aside for now. As I said, we're gonna use it for later recipes. So we're done with that. And now the second way we're going to be separating it is to, once again, we're going to be dropping it. I probably did a bit too much, but that is the more ideal way of doing it because that keeps the membrane intact. So we are going to do that again, but about half. There you go. Okay, so now we are going to put it over the bowl. I'm using a slotted spoon to do it. It's basically what you can use instead of the egg separator in a pinch. I'm going to shake that gently because you don't want too much, because other than that, it will break the yolk, and you can kind of scoop out the any leftover ones, but it can kind of be a mess otherwise. It's okay if a little bit of yolks get in, but you don't want too much. All right, this is kind of probably not the slotted spoon way, I would probably say. It's kind of getting stuck. Oh, there you go. There you go. There's the whole thing. So we're going to put that in there. And lastly, the main way, which is going to be an egg yolk separator. Forgot to mention it in the tools, but it's really just like $2, so it's not something I really was mentioning. So we're going to put that on the side like so. There you go. Okay, and now we're going to be doing this once again. There you go. I'll just be very careful with the any pieces you get in there. Other worst case, you can just scoop them out, but it's best to avoid it. So now we're just going to put it right through there. And now we're going to gently shake it. Make sure all the yolks are out. And then put it right in our storage for later. So that'd be perfect. Okay, so that's 3 ways. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit after I have this all done. So I'll see you in a second. Hello and welcome back. Well, I gotta say I kind of messed up a little bit. As you can see, I kind of broke the yolks a bit, but actually good for the yolks wise, because you need to mix them up if you're going to use them. Just make sure you know how much you have in each one. So all we're going to do is just do a little bit of this. Make sure it's all mixed up like that. And then we now have 6 yolks here, ready for a different recipe later on. Same thing with this guy. Just a fork and there you go. 2 perfect containers we will be using later. Also, as you can see, a little bit of yolk got in there too. So as I said, a little bit's fine. Just don't have like a whole yolk in there or whatever. Like maybe at most, maybe have like a 1/4 of one. So this is good. So next part we're going to do is we're going to be blending the sugar. I know it sounds weird, but it makes it just much more fluffy. So at the moment, we're going to put this aside because we're going to let this go to room temperature a little bit for once we get to the mixing part. Okay, so I'm having 2 bowls because we're going to separate this. Once we have it all done, we're going to be putting it in a big mixing bowl over there and then sift it. So first off, we're going to be doing with the 3/4 cup. This one we're going to be putting aside for the other part. And apologies in advance for the sound. I will adjust it in post so it isn't so deafening. So line that up and okay, so we want that like powdery, almost I think we're essentially making powdered sugar, but I don't know if powdered sugar changes it at all, but always happens. Hold on. Shoot. There we go. Come on. I guess you're seeing how bad my strength is. There you go. There you go. You got a nice fluffy texture. See, you got that. Don't worry about the clumps. That'll be mostly, it will be mixed up both either in the sifter or in the mixer once we get to that point. Now we're going to do the same thing with the sugar. The other one, this is going to be the cup. Normally, what you would do is you're going to be putting this with the cup of sugar, but with the 3/4. Sorry, you're going to mix that with a 3/4. Normally, we put that together, but due to how small this is, doesn't fit all of it. So once it gets all sifted, I'll mix it up with the spatula. So once again, make sure it's tight, and sound warning. Okay, there we go. Once again, my strength fails me. Gosh, darn it. There we go. At least that was faster. There we go. Okay, so now we are going to get this in there. This is our cake flour and whatnot. Again, don't worry about any clumps at the moment because, you know, it's going to get blended. And then also we're going through the sifter, so there's more sift. I would recommend making sure this is the last thing you do if you're doing it in parts like me. Otherwise, you will get some of the flour in the rest of it. So I'm actually got to be a little bit more. Yeah, that's what I was afraid of. Okay, give me 1 second. Ooh, there we go. Hopefully that will help a bit more. Oh, that was almost a mistake. Oh, there you go. Love that smell of cinnamon. There you go. Oh, that didn't work as well. See? Well, even with me, there's a lot of, you'll make some mistakes, so it's all good. At least this kind of gets it from spilling too much. I'll probably figure out something next time. That doesn't work, so let's just do it this way instead. Don't want to spill everything, so I'll just do it a spoon at a time. Yeah, cake flour is already pretty fine, so we're not going to be blending it for too much. Oh yeah, and also when you're listening to these recipes, I do apologize. I might misspeak. So I would recommend following any of the actual recipe. The recipe notes I have in the description rather than my own mouth because I often misspeak a lot. So don't worry about that. So once again, we are going to That didn't really, I think that mixed too well. I can. That should be okay. All right. So here we have our cup, I believe. Yeah, 3/4. Yeah. So now we are going to get the sifter and we're going to put it all in there like that. Same thing we're going to do with the sugar. There we go. So now we are just going to gently tap it like this. I want to make sure it gets all those little chunks out. As seems like with the flour and whatnot, it got pretty darn clumpy. So this is what we want to avoid. This is why this fine sifter is really good. You're kind of giving it a slight dusting. So. And then once you kind of get to the bigger ones, you're going to kind of make them jump around a little bit so they get smaller and smaller till they manage to fit all the way through. Worst case, you just kind of just leave them alone. You're gonna just toss those in after like that, you know, they go crumbs, so it should be fine. All right. So next thing we're just gonna do is do a quick mixing of it. It kind of already got kind of mixed with the sifting, but just want to mix it up a little bit. All right, so that should be good enough. We're back in just a second. I'm just going to clean up and get ready for the next section. Hello and welcome back. So got it all cleaned up. One thing I forgot to mention, make sure that you set your oven to 325 degrees. I forgot to do that earlier, but now it's going. And also I did mess up a little bit with the sugar. So the batch that at least I'm going to have is a little bit more sugary, I guess, in that regard. As long as you follow the instruction down below, that's accurate. So just follow that. So first off, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be putting the cream of tartar inside of this. But first off, we're going to get this a little bit foamy. We're going to do at a medium speed. We're going to get that till it gets there. This is kind of, cream of tartar is going to kind of act like salt would help a water boil. That's going to help us get to the soft peaks faster. So first off, we're going to mix this up a little bit. Okay, see, so that's what we're looking for, foamy. So at that point, I'm going to put our cream of tartar in. And then we're also going to be putting our sugar in too. We're going to do that in small bits because you don't want to do it all at once. Otherwise, it can cause some issues. Get that cream of tartar mixed in. Okay, so I'm going to get this other hand first, and then we're going to continue. Oh, it's a bit too much, but it's still okay. Just have to mix it a bit more. So this is going to probably take the longest part, so you got to just make sure. Once we get closer, I'll show you what the soft peaks parts mean. The soft peaks part means. So we're just going to keep going with this. Okay, this is going to take a while, so I'm just going to stop it here, and I'll come back when it's at soft peaks. Hello, and we are back. So we're not exactly there, but I just want to show you before I get to that point. So you see how it's kind of still stiff there. We're going to do it just a little bit more. Still looping off. Just do a little bit more because we don't want to do too much because we get hard peaks is going to be not going to be as fluffy. It's going to come out more like a pound cake. Okay, so that's perfect. Just not exactly sliding off, but are. So that's going to be perfect. So now what we're going to be doing is we're going to now add our vanilla extract. This one's fine. You just really just pour it in, and we're going to do a quick mix just so it gets incorporated. But actually, before I do that, I want to. So this is our cinnamon roll. Flavoring oil. You got to be very careful with this because it's very concentrated. So much so where I even have a dropper. So we are going to do quite a few drops, and the way to do so is when you know you have enough is when you can smell it. So I'm going to kind of to drop it a couple times. Just gonna do a little bit more. So I think at most you're probably going to need a 1/16 of a teaspoon. I believe I think it's collectively known as a pinch. So we will do that, and now we will put the vanilla oil in there. Stopped it so I can not get confused with the smell. So we're gonna put that right in there. Now we're gonna do just a really quick mix, just get it incorporated because we don't want to do too much. Because as I said, we don't want stiff peaks. Okay. So that should be good, pretty well incorporated. So now we're gonna get to the meat of it. And now we're going to be putting these together. Let's clean this up a little bit so we got more room. So we are going to, hold on, let me do the fun part real quick of ejecting these. There you go. All right. So now we're going to just combine these two, and we're going to mix them in so they're all uniform. But we're going to putting the wet into the dry. But we got to do it in batches. Same kind of situation with the sugar because we want to make sure that it gets in there pretty well good. So we're going to pour that in a little bit. Again, you know, cooking is about making a mess, so okay, it's all right if you do. So you're getting kind of almost like a dough kind of consistency. So that's what we're kind of going for. So now once you see it, there's not anymore like a kind of silky texture. So now that's a good point when we mix in more. All right. And this is why you use a rubber spatula, because we're going to be scraping off that bit and also anything inside, because we don't want to lose out on any of our cake, because we want this to be the perfect size and all that. So as you see, once we get more of this in there, it's going to get kind of harder to tell, but just kind of feel out. I mean, it's as much as this is an exact science in baking is, but you can always just kind of eyeball it. So you got a lot of the dry down there, so you want to make sure we get enough to get all that out. That's pretty good. Yeah, actually, hold on, let me scrape that off. Don't want that to be lost. There you go. I'll make sure to scrape the edges. Once you get it kind of wet in there, it kind of likes to collect the dry parts. So get that more and more. Eventually going to kind of become almost like cereal milk after a while. Well, cereal milk as long as you eat Cinnamon Toast Crunch. So there we go. There you go. See, getting much more of the white out of it, which is essentially what we're trying to do. There you go. That's more the batter consistency we're kind of looking for. And now we're going to pour the rest of this in. Now, I mean, it's all going to get mixed in, so it doesn't really matter if it's dirty in here. You're not gonna be able to get every scrap out, but try to get most of it into that point. So now that should be done. Okay, now once again, mix until it's well combined. Yeah, just make sure you get the bottom too, because a lot of it like to collect. So last thing you want to do is have like some unmixed stuff in your cake. So just 1 second, just getting our cake pan ready for when it's all good. It's almost there. There we go. We're starting to get more of that good cinnamon in there. It's smelling really good, by the way. So I think I must have did something right. There we go. See, now just as I said, make sure you get the bottom and make sure it's all that good. Okay. So we got our cake pan. So now we are going to pour it right in there. Just make sure that you get the edges should like kind of cascade down. Try to at least get one pass, and then after that point, you kind of can just balance it out. Okay, so now it's the scraping part. There. Okay. That should be about good. Unfortunately, the worst part of cooking is the cleanup. So unfortunately, I'll have to deal with that later. So we got our cake. We will have to stop right here because my oven is not pre-baked yet because I forgot about it. So we will be back once it's preheated. Hello, we're back. So oven's about ready. So we're going to do it now. So we are going to make sure you have your rack down on the second to last one. I guess it needs more air to get in there, so that's why I'm doing it. So we're gonna get our cake, put it in right there, and we'll be all good. Timer. We're gonna do it for 45 minutes. You might need a little bit more if you depending on your oven, you should after a while you kind of know how much heat you need. Just make sure that you check it with a toothpick every so often. You got to make sure that it gets all puffed up, but make sure the toothpick comes out clean. Otherwise, you need to cook a little bit more. Just make sure watch it because obviously you don't want it to burn. So we'll come back once again once this is all done and cooked. And hello, we are back. So the oven just went off. So now we're going to be taking it out. I already preemptively checked with a toothpick. So as you can see right there, nice and fluffy like that. That's exactly what you want to look for. So just close this up. It smells like cinnamon rolls. So that definitely did something right. So now we have the rack already out, or whatever you're going to be using. So now we are going to flip it upside down. All right, that is all leveled out and all perfect. So we're going to be leaving that for 3 hours. So once that gets closer, I will continue on after that. So I'll see you in about 3 hours, or for you, a couple seconds. Hello and welcome back. That 3 hours really went by. So now we got that point. Here is our delicious cooking cake. So we're going to use a regular chef's knife or something very thin. This is my usual ones. You've probably seen it quite a bit in other videos. And we're going to go right on the edge as close as we can to it because we want to keep some of that crispy bits on the edges. I'm going to cut right around it. With these cake pans, there's also a removable bottom, so we're going to do the same thing once we get to the bottom part. But first we got to get it all out. Smells really good. All right. Now we are going to gently pull it out. There we go. Ooh, that is probably this. Yeah, look at that. Almost completely around the edge. That's probably the best I've ever did it. So I'll put that aside. Now we're going to do the same thing on the bottom. I want to hopefully have it like that on the edges. Okay, so we're going to be using this, and now we're going to gently pull it out. Okay, not too bad. Not too bad at all. There we go. There is our very nice angel food cake. Very nice. Normally, this is where we would end it, but this time around we're going to make a very quick and simple cream cheese frosting. So I'm going to get that all set up real fast and we'll be right back. Okay, we are all set up for the cream cheese frosting. All we're going to be needing is our mixer, or you can do a hand one, but since it's such a small one, we're using this. Then we got our half a stick of salted butter. We got 4 ounces, or about half a container of cream cheese. We got a tablespoon of milk. We got a teaspoon of vanilla extract, and this is the cup and a half of powdered sugar. So first off, what we're going to do, we're going to put the butter into the mixer. Unfortunately, I did warm this up a little bit in the microwave, but I did it a bit too much, but still should work out fine. And then our cream cheese, which I will probably have to do this for. There you go. There we go. Okay, so we are going to now mix this up at a very low speed for about, not low speed, just a decent speed so it gets creamed. We're going to be using the paddle attachment. And now we're going to turn this on again, once again, loud noises, so apologies. Okay, so that's about great. So let me get a little knife real quick to get some of all that stuff off the beaters. There we go. Okay, so this is exactly what we want. There we go. Yeah, so we are going to be wanting this. We got just enough where it's creamed and whatnot, so this will be perfect. So once we got this, we're going to now do the same. We're now going to mix it again, but this time we're going to put in the powdered sugar. We're going to put it about half a cup at a time, or at least in 3 parts, or however you want to do it. Either way, it's got to be in small batches. Since it's very powdery, since it's powdered sugar, it's going to be very going to mix together pretty quickly. There we go. Already turning out really well already. We're not done yet, but it's getting there. So let's do the second batch. That should be good. The rest of this afterwards. All right. Once again, very good. Just make sure to, forgot to do the first time, but make sure to clean the beaters. Looking really good. Okay. Perfect. All right. So now we're going to do the last of this. There we go. All right. So make sure this is all combined. Okay, so once again, get the beaters cleaned, but we are pretty good. It's pretty thick, but that's what the milk is going to do. It is optional. You can, if you like it, if you prefer it this way, you can keep it. But it only requires up to 1 to 2 tablespoons. This is only 1. I just want to cut it back a little bit, but it still should be plenty good, just as is. Okay. So now we're at this point. We are going to put in the milk and the extract. All right. Shouldn't be too long for this mix. Watch out for splatter. I forgot to put my guard on, but that's smelling really good. That is smelling really good. Let's see. Ooh, yeah, that's exact consistency that you want. I mean, it's not just enough to stick on there, but it falls off pretty decently. So that's exactly what we want. Good, good, good. Okay. Okay. So let's get our cake back real quick, and then we will decorate it. We got that. And my little cake arm, once I find it. There it is. Forgot to get it out, but yeah, so we got this. So we're just gonna scoop some of it on and spread it on. You know, metal on metal is not good, but it's my best thing I can have for spreading this. So looking good. Can't wait to have a bite of this. So we moving on the paper. Again, it doesn't have to be that pretty. It's here you are. You want to be a cake decorator and make sure it's all good. That's up your prerogative, but I am just putting on the good stuff. Get that off. Yes, to be honest, that wasn't even needed. Yeah, actually, might need this, so give me 1 second. I always seem to do that. Always put away something I needed. I'll scrape all the good stuff out. Yeah, that is why we use a rubber spatula. That was so much we would have left off the cake. Nope, don't fall off. There you go. And plus, one good thing about this, it hides your mistakes. So that little bit we messed up on the top, it shouldn't be that bad now. Go. Okay, so there is our very delicious cinnamon roll cake. I think it turned out pretty well. Now let us cut a piece. Now here's our delicious cake. I think it turned out really well. Cream looks good on it, and insides are just enough that you see the cinnamon and everything. Let's see how well it tastes. Feeling like eating a cake. Yeah, that definitely elevates it a lot more with the cream cheese frosting. Yeah, that's delicious. Well, I do hope that your cake turned out just as well as mine. Definitely going to be having to share that with some of my coworkers and family. Otherwise, I'm going to be eating this thing until I'm fat. So that is going to be the end of the video. I do hope you enjoyed yourself. As I said, there's going to be the written instruction on the bottom and also the link to the original recipe, and as well as any of the specific tools I've been using. So I do hope that you enjoyed and hope you have a good rest of your morning, evening, or night. Enjoy.